Welcome
to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode... What is this episode? 295 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. As you can tell, I don't have my green screen behind me. I forgot to bring it into the office. I'm in the office today. I was away on vacation last week, so I'm a little out of sorts. I'm still kind of getting caught up, and I forgot to bring my green screen, and I'm also using my old headset mic. I should probably switch now. Hang on, I'm going to switch to my good mic because I managed to run out and grab it. So hold on, just let me switch to my good mic. One moment. Check. Hopefully that's a lot better. Hopefully the quality there is a lot more decent. Thankfully it looks like it's carrying over to my screen where, here's today's agenda. So today it's a little out of sorts. I apologize. I'm going to do my best here to just do what I normally do with Joy of Coding, but I apologize if I'm a little out of sorts. Post-vacation Mike. It's episode 295. It's July 27th, 2022. Reminder, no plan survives breakfast. Have you noticed that I'm not in the bottom right corner? I'm not showing up there. It's because I don't have my green screen, and so I'm choosing to not appear in the... Oh, hang on. It switched back? Has it switched back? I apologize. You're right. It has switched back. Oh, BS. There we go. Hopefully that's better. Excuse me. I don't have my green screen, and I didn't want to take up too much space. So I've just face muted my little camera in the bottom right. So I apologize. This will be an invisible episode. That's what we're going to call this. It's an invisible episode. And like I said, no plan survives breakfast. That's kind of how it works. And so things might go wrong, might go sideways. I might decide to switch devices. Who knows what'll happen as we go on. But that's part of how it works. That's the name of the game. The agenda that we're looking at is the other thing I want to mention. It's something you have access to if you're watching this on YouTube. Check out the video description. If you're watching this on Air Mozilla, it'll be in the details section. Same goes with the... whoopsie daisy. Same goes with the... where was I? Hang on a second. Same goes with diode.zone. If you're on diode.zone, check out the details of the page. And if you're on Twitch, let me drop this into the Twitch chat, which thankfully seems to be working. Except look how poorly formatted this is. Let's try and fix that up. What's going on here? What is going on? So I think it's possible that there's like a new line or something that's confusing this. What is going wrong? Smith today. Does it want a space there maybe? What is that? Is that what it wants? Yes, that's what it wanted. It wanted a new line under this heading. Okay, fine. So let's go through the agenda now that I've sort of reorganized myself. I need to calm down. Let's focus, people. Let's focus. So the first thing is that this was sent in via the rate this episode form for the last episode, where they said that I might want to mark bug 1738027 as a duplicate of bug 1779280 from the stream, as it has the links back to the Tor bug 25660. So this is actually related to the bug we were working on last time, related to like private browsing and the concept of what a window means and like the labeling for windows whenever you're in always private browsing mode. And so let's take a look at this bug and see if it makes sense to dupe. Let's start there. What is this? A new private window option appears alongside new private window in the Proton hamburger menu when private browsing autostart is true. This is from 9 months ago. Yeah, I agree. This should probably be duped over. I will dupe this over to 280. And let's do that right now. Mark as duplicate of such and such. So do. So because this is where the work is kind of going on.
maybe I should wire up some of the, there was like another real issue. Breaks the Tor browser should be given a higher priority. Okay. Let me link to this comment. Comment 1, bugs. Per bug such and such comment 1, this also affects the Tor browser, folk. And yeah, okay, so we've got our dupe. That is done. That was a good idea. It's a good idea to dupe duplicate bugs. Let's look at the next thing, which was on the agenda, which is I wanted to mention that the joy of profiling has returned. So if you're not familiar with that show, it's because it's been a little while since I'd recorded it. I did an episode about 2 weeks ago with my colleagues Jeff and Marcus, and we recorded ourselves profiling, or analyzing profiles rather, of Firefox under certain circumstances. There's me, there's Jeff, Marcus shows up later on. I think you probably see him in the end. Whenever do I switch the camera back? Yeah, there's Marcus. So we record ourselves just kind of analyzing profiles. If you're not familiar with a profile or what a profile is well, in the context of a performance profile, because that's what we're looking at. We're looking at performance profiles. These are, think of them as almost like flight recorder recordings of Firefox for a window of time, and then you can like dump that flight recording, and then we can analyze it to see why something was slow. So the upshot is that if you have a slow Firefox, or maybe you are hearing someone else say, hey, my Firefox is slow, what's going wrong? You can collect a profile and then submit it to us for analysis, and we'll analyze it live. You can see us trying to piece together what's going wrong, and then maybe file bugs. Maybe we can even like fix the issue. And if you're not sure how to collect a performance profile or how to get the profiler, you don't need any special add-ons or anything these days. You just follow the instructions here, and this will step you through it. So highly recommended if you are having performance issues, or if you if you know someone who's having performance issues and you want to help us out, figure out what's going wrong, collect a performance profile. You have a much higher probability of us fixing the performance issue if you supply a performance profile, because that gives us a clearer sense of what's going wrong inside of Firefox. Now, it's not a guarantee. Sometimes there are non-obvious problems that a profile doesn't reveal. Maybe external software that isn't included in the profiler data, but we can do our best. It's certainly better than just filing a bug or commenting somewhere and saying Firefox is slow. Why is it slow? Because that's meaningless. That's like walking into a doctor's office and going, body hurt. Why body hurt? Like you gotta be more specific, and you can think of a profile almost as being like an MRI. Or even better, it's like a video recording of the insides of a human body for a period of time. Okay, let's move on from that. What was the next thing I wanted to talk about? Oh, so I was need infoed on a bug, and I wanted to look at it with you today because I wasn't sure what to do with it. I wanted you to be with me while I kind of thought through it. This is and it's also related to something that we had worked on the stream, I'd say a month or two back. So let's check this out. Let me pump up the font so you can see what I'm looking at. So this is a crash that has been reported from, it's showing up on crash stats. There are a couple of people who were noticing this signature 2 years ago. A particular signature was raised, and then it kind of went away. It was like there was a while here where it was like it's not showing up, and then all of a sudden the volume for this kind of like showed up again. The recent crash volume for this went up, and it's related to the work that we did for the page icon protocol. So I don't know if you remember that, but back in episodes, I don't know, was it 292 were we working on page icon protocol? When were we working on page icon protocol? Here, back in 290, 290, 289, 290 and 289. We worked on that thing, and that appears to be related. And we've got this crash here, and we've got a crash report, so we can look at this crash report together. So I was need infoed on this about 9 hours ago, and apparently there's 80 to 220 crashes per beta version, but divided by 4 looks reasonable. So and most of them are from 32-bit builds. I don't know if that's how meaningful that is. That's not that many crashes considering how big our beta population is, but it's still not great, and we should check it out. So this is what a crash report looks like if you're not familiar, if you've never been, one to examine a crash report. Oh, I see a chat message, and I think there's something interesting here. I'm going to pause for a second because our fellow chatter Crushed Optimist writes that the Firefox Translations project, which I had shouted out last time, the Bergamo project and the extension and whatnot. So apparently it supports French now. So that's really nice. If you are someone who likes to translate pages from French to some other language, you might be interested in installing this add-on, and then Firefox will translate it for you. And if you aren't familiar with what I had talked about last time in episode 294, it's all done client-side, so you don't end up sending Mozilla or Google or Microsoft any of the text that's being translated. It all happens on your own local machine, and it's pretty good at it. It's open source. You can check it out yourself. You can use it on your own website. We actually we tested that out last week too. I think this is still the same. We did some stuff where I think it's this part supported French already. I could be wrong, but I can't remember if this supported French last time. Je ne me souviens pas si ce français a soutenu la dernière fois. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. It's been a while since I took French. You might be laughing at my accent if you are a native speaker. But I don't even know if this translation is decent, but we can flip it and find out. So let's flip it. And I don't remember if this Frenchman last year supported that. That's not right. That's not right. I don't know if French was supported for Bergamo. I don't remember if French was supported for Bergamo. That's better. Je ne me souviens pas si le français était soutenu par Bergamo. So there you go. And that can be built into the browser. So presumably, I don't know if I need to update the add-on. Maybe it even updated in the background. If I go to French Wikipedia, let's go to French Wikipedia. Here we go. Hey, all right. It knows how to translate French now. So I can go here. Let's translate this page. Castellane, horse. The Castellane horse, or horse de Castellane, is an ancient breed of small rustic saddle horses of French origin. Amazing! All done locally. Not bad. Not bad. Ooh, I don't know if this is new or not. Translate this tab automatically as you browse. So if I've turned that on and I click on a link, it's translating. Oh, look at it go! Look at it go! That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. All right. So, yeah, check it out. You can get that add-on if you follow the link in the agenda, which, if I reload this page, is here. I think. Install the extension. Yeah, do it. Check it out. Okay, let's go back to this crash report. So, back it up a little bit. So we've got our crash report here, and I'm not entirely certain what's going wrong. I haven't looked at this yet at all. This might go nowhere. I'm not the best at analyzing crash reports, especially if they're not trivial ones, like, oh, that's clearly a null pointer dereference or something. So it looks like we're failing an assertion. That's what I'm getting from this, is that there's the signature of this is saying that we're probably inside of an assertion method, and we're probably failing that assertion. Excuse me. And what's really nice about this is that if you scroll down, we get a stack. Now, whether or not this is an accurate stack is hard to say, because like when you're in a crashed state, when your software is crashing, who knows what's in memory? You know, like your memory could be completely corrupted. If you're curious to know more about how our crash reporting stuff works, I recommend reading my colleague Aria's blog posts here on the Rust mini dump stuff, because this kind of goes into some of the details of how our crash reporting infrastructure works. My colleague Aria's blog posts about Rust mini dump, which powers some of our crash reporting infrastructure. So here's a link, and where's the other one? There were 2 posts so far. And it's really, I don't know, I find these very well written. I'm very happy with these blog posts. They're a fun read. Okay, so we've got our stack. Let's presume that this is an accurate stack. I mean, this series of calls kind of makes sense. You know, I definitely was using promises when I wrote the page icon protocol handler. So let's go in here now. I've been looking in here. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I did actually open this earlier, but I didn't do much thinking about it. That's why those links are purple. So yeah, I'm inside this. It's saying that in my call to get favicon data, I'm somehow entering the destructor of Moz promise. Some kind of private for favicon metadata, a Moz promise of favicon metadata, the destructor of the private, or even better, it looks like what's happening is that a promise that returns either favicon metadata or an S result is having its destructor called, and as part of the promise destroying itself, one of the things it likes to do is assert that it's dead. Now, what does that mean? What does it mean to assert is dead? No, we expose the function assert is dead instead of is dead, since checking is dead is a data race in the situation where the request is not dead. Therefore, we enforce the form assert is dead by exposing assert is dead only. Alrighty. So apparently one of our then values is not dead, I guess. Let's keep going. So under file system, so this is a different promise. File system get root response assert is dead. I don't know how much I believe that one. This seems unrelated. Oh yeah, I guess we kind of looked at that already. Here is the actual assert is dead. What happens is we want to assert that this then values is dead. That is to say that there are no consumers waiting for the result. In the case of a normal then value, we check that it has been disconnected, which is the way that the consumer signals that no. So how do we disconnect? Because what might be going wrong here, if we look at the stack again, and some of this might be completely non-obvious, like how are we getting to Moz promise from here? I think it has to do with the fact that, there's some inlining maybe that's going wrong, but also like get favicon data. If we look at get favicon data, I wonder if there's like some magic going on here, because like we do construct a promise. What is the let's get that crash report up alongside. Again, I'm not an expert at this, but this favicon metadata NS results signature is a kind of a promise that I think we defined in the header. Let's see here. Favicon metadata NS result. It's a favicon metadata promise is what it's called. So where is a favicon metadata promise referred to? Well, there's something that's inside a favicon data callback that uses that. And get favicon data. Okay, so here we go. By calling get favicon data, we are expecting the return value of favicon metadata promise. Sorry, of get favicon data to be a favicon metadata promise. And I guess somehow it's getting destroyed. Maybe because get favicon data. There are two calls to get favicon data. One is on line 254. That's this one. This is the parent process one, I think, right? New channel internal. Just having to remember, new channel internal is called by who? The parent process. So the parent process is saying, okay, let us get a channel. Let's get our favicon data, and then we're going to like emit this favicon information into that channel that we're creating for the caller here. So let's see. Is it that one of these two thens, like, could it be that this this promise, we get a promise here and we don't really hold a reference to it? That's the first thing I've noticed here, is we actually don't hold a reference to the promise that this returns. Huh. By not holding a reference... Oh, Smurfd asks if it's maybe related to something that's written on line 274. There are a few reasons why this might fail. Well, no, I don't think so, because this is less to do with, a promise that's rejecting. That's what this method, or that's what this anonymous function deals with. This is a promise rejection. This is more about the promise is being destroyed, and that causes the assert is dead to be called, and that assert is dead is making sure that these thens aren't sticking around. Like, one of them has been called. And so I wonder if we're just failing to hold a reference. We're failing to hold a reference to get favicon data when the returned promise for get favicon data. That's my guess, is that ultimately we are failing to hold a reference to this ref pointer. And whoops, that's my bad. This promise isn't being kept alive when it should. And so, yeah, if it's getting destroyed, if its ref count runs to 0, which makes sense. Wait, who's the outer promise? The outer promise. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my colleague Nika, who helped review some of this stuff, for her advice, because I think I've got a hypothesis, but I don't actually know, because I'll be honest, I know I certainly am comfortable with dealing with promises in JavaScript land, but in C++ land, I mean, that was a real trip whenever we were doing that stuff in C++ with promises for the page icon protocol. So I was able to muddle through, but I really ended up relying on Nika's coaching, and I wonder if maybe I just, I kind of screwed up a little bit here, and maybe Nika can help me. So, so I took a quick look, and I have a hypothesis, but I'm wondering if Nika, you could confirm or refute my hypothesis on what's going wrong here. We have this method in page icon protocol handler called get favicon data. Let's link to that. I'll link to it in the on nightly. That returns a ref pointer, and I'll link to it. Get favicon data, which returns a ref pointer. What's the ref pointer? Ref pointer favicon metadata promise. Which is used in two places. One of those, in both of those places, the return value, the promise returned by get favicon data isn't actually held onto. It just kind of gets thrown away. Let's link to that. Get favicon data. Whoops, what did I have? Oh, I had a character selected. Okay, here's one, and here's the other one. Get favicon data. Here's the other usage. Now, granted, there are two thens that are thens for that Moz promise that I had assumed would keep it alive. Maybe that assumption is wrong. Is it possible that the Moz promise returned by get favicon data is getting destroyed after it goes out of scope, and that's hitting our assertion? Should promised be promise? What? Where did I write promised? Yeah, the promise. Thank you. The promise is actually so, and that's hitting our assertion. I feel like that's the sort of thing we would have caught in testing, since I can't imagine that since if I needed to hold a reference to the Moz promise to keep it alive while we wait for it to resolve, I would have expected it to crash immediately upon exiting the get favicon data method. So I must be missing something. What do you think, Mika? Okay. Okay. So that is my question. I'm just going to decorate this with the right badoots here, the right backticks, so this gets nicely formatted. I don't always do this, but I like to do it whenever I think about it. Let's take a look. What is this going to look like? Yeah. All right, so now we're going to redirect our need info to my colleague Nika. See what she thinks. Now, I wonder if there's other examples of promises being returned from functions that we can look at just out of curiosity, see what other people do. Ref pointer, like there are lots of ref pointers out there, but are there any using promises? Ref pointer promise. Let's look inside of like a header file for a return value, and we'll look for promise. Yeah, here's one. Ref pointer print promise. Canonical browse and context print. So anything that calls print, what does, so see, this is interesting. This one also gets kind of thrown away. Okay. So I'm gonna copy this permalink. Notably, this is another case. I found another instance where we seem to throw away a reference to a Moz promise. Returned by a method while we wait for its thens to be invoked. So I guess there's an established pattern here. So maybe, there's something else going wrong. Okay. Or it's either some, maybe this is also a problem. All right. Well, let's hold on to that for now. Let's move on to the next thing. So, yeah. So this bug 1779280, we started talking about it at the top of the episode, and we never got to the Windows task tray part. Ooh, am I set up to work on the task tray? I don't exactly have access to the... Let me just boot up my VM here and see if I have... just give me a sec. See if I have access to... what's the code? Is it jump list? Windows jump. Yeah, okay. It is in JavaScript, so in theory, I can do this. Just give me a quick sec here. Let me start a shell. Okay. Don't need that. And put that away. All right, hold on a second. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to... All right, here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down the patch that we had originally written. I actually don't know. I don't think it ever got posted. I think, yeah, I never posted my work in progress patch. So that's maybe the first step here is to rebase my work in progress patch and consider posting it, and then rebase it, post it as a work in progress, and then maybe refamiliarize ourselves with the work that we've been doing on it. Surely I committed it. Private. No. Where's... Hold on a sec. Hold up. Where is that patch? What is going on? Did I? Is it? What did I commit it at the? Okay, I might actually have to watch the end of the last episode. I apologize. I don't normally do this. It's happened before, but I need to figure out where we ended up. So episode 294. You know what? Let's do something here. Let's go to diode.zone. Let's give diode.zone some traffic and watch the video on here. Joy of coding. It's me. Episode 294. So I'm gonna mute it for a second here so we don't have to listen to me. But let's talk about Bergamo. So this is a little bit of Joy of Codingception here because I need to figure out where we got with this. Oh man, seeking's pretty slow, eh? Come on, diode.zone. I believe. I want to believe. Please. Don't make me go to YouTube. Alright. Ooh, oh, here it comes. Oh, I saw a little bit of data there coming down. It was like a lot, and then it went away again. And I can see like the little seek bar there is showing some stuff. Like, there we go. Yeah, downloading some stuff. Okay, so where did I get to? I had my big ugly window. Was I on my local... was I on my Windows machine? That might be why we don't have access to it. So this is intolerable. I'm going to go to YouTube real quick. Sorry about that. YouTube. Top search result. Not bad. Okay. Okay, maybe we'll solve this and then I'll get to the jump list. So where was I? No, I was on my I was on my Mac OS machine here. So did I commit it? I wonder... Oh, Danny Colin writes, I wonder when we'll drop support for Windows 7. Microsoft talked about prolonging Windows 7 support. I thought it was end of life. Are you talking about enterprise support? So yeah, there's a really good question there. It's like, when do we stop supporting Windows 7? And I'm going to show you something. Let's go to the data report. And let's take a look at the hardware that people are running on. Who's running on what for Firefox? So yeah, interesting trends. Like since 2019, clearly 1920 by 1080 has definitely become the dominant display resolution, whereas at the beginning of 2019 it was 1366 by 768, and that started to peter down. So if we go down all the way to number of cores, you can see that the number of cores is still dominated by 2 cores. Most of our users have 2 cores, but slowly but surely as people get more hardware or newer hardware, you can see the number of cores is slowly going up. No major trends in CPU clock speed. That's actually, for the most part, it's because clock speeds have roughly stayed stable. It's been the cores that have started to go up. Memory, we see an interesting transition here. 8 gigs is where most of our users are, still followed close behind by 4. And then 16, you can see 16 gigs starting to come up. But let's go down to operating system. This is the important part. This is what I want to know. So Windows 10 now dominates our user base at about just under 67%. And Windows 7, we've got roughly just under 17%. And that's been going down steadily. Not too quickly, but it's been going down steadily. But like, when did Microsoft end of life Windows 7? I think like they did like the public support. Like I think they've claimed to have stopped sending out patches, but you know, I actually don't know what the official date was. Like Windows 7 end of life. When did they end of life it? January 4th. So not last January, but the January before that, January 14th, 2020. Security updates and technical support ended on January 14th, 2020, which was right around here. And you can see, yeah, there was like a little bit of a dip. I don't know if that was related. People going, oh, gotta switch off. But then you've got this like slow decline, this slow airplane. And this one's, right around the time that the end of life occurred, you could see this bump up happened right here. So a lot of people transitioned over to 10, and that started to go up. Interestingly, 11. Interestingly, Windows 8 is still somehow in here. I wish. Can I zoom in? I can't really zoom in, but see, Windows Other. I wonder what that could be. Where's Windows 11? I guess that's barely a blip in here. Yeah, anyways, the vast majority of our users are on Windows 10. And there's still quite a few. It's greater than 15% on Windows 7. So your question was, how long are we going to support Windows 7? Well, the answer is, as long as there are users there. And so, there's going to come a time when the number of users that are on Windows 7, like the cost, the effort, the resources it takes to maintain a build for Windows 7 that's like a quality, safe build is going to be more. It's going to be more than we're willing to spend given how many users are there yet. But for now, we still build and support for Windows 7. And that's why I have a VM for it. All right. Anyways, I thought you might find this interesting. This is all publicly available. Datafirefox.com. You can see, this is a nice one. When Flash support, how many users actually have Flash installed? And then you see this big drop off, like bonk, right there when we ended Flash support. And still, surprisingly, there's still some people that have it installed, but because I think Adobe, shipped an update that actually uninstalls the plugin or something. I could be wrong on that, but I seem to recall that. And it's just over 2%, just under 2.5. Someone writes that, there are more Windows 7 users than all of Linux and Mac together. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. You stack all of these up, you're probably still under Windows 7. The number of users on Linux and Mac are pitifully small compared to the number of users that are on Windows. And this is presuming that they're sending us telemetry as well. I think this is if you've completely disabled your telemetry, then we're not getting any of this data. So we don't know about you. Okay, so what did I do with this patch? I'm getting distracted. What happened? Did I commit it? What did I do? So see, I started to what happened? I was doing stuff on my Windows machine. So at some point I switched over to my Windows machine. So did I post it? How did I send the patch to my Windows machine? So I was here. Or was I just doing research on my Mac OS machine? So I closed that. And then what? What did I do? I just ran. Why? Was I just testing something? Does anyone remember? Does anyone remember what I did? Go back to my terminal, mock run, then what? I'm messing around. I don't think I ended up. Surely I committed something. Maybe not during the episode, but immediately after. I wouldn't just throw that stuff away. So when... So the good news is I was making the changes on my my Mac OS machine. So it's here somewhere. Maybe I stashed it. Let me pull up my stash list. Hold on. HG, what was it? My shelf list. So let me look at my shelves. Aha! It was on my shelf list. Okay. So I'm going to unshelve it. Found it, everybody. Found it. I did that off screen because I didn't know if there'd be security related stuff on my shelf. So it's here it is. I found it. I never committed it. I shelved it. Okay. So here we go. And where did I get to? again, I'm picking this all up after I was on vacation, so my brain is probably it's all out of sorts. I don't actually remember where I got to with this. Let's take a look at the patch. So we made it so that on startup, I remember this, that we adjust the menu bar entries like we did before, but we also do it for the app menu. Right. We updated the app menu. And then what else did we do? We made it so that we disable the private browsing window button when you're in permanent private browsing. And then we made it so that the indicator always shows. This I'm not entirely certain we would consider keeping, but maybe. I think that's something I need to run by the... Oh, PBZ, yeah! Hey, Paul's here. Paul's one of our security and privacy folk. I'm so glad you're watching. Isn't it late for you? I guess it's in your evening. Well, happy evening, Paul. Yeah, I decided to start working on this, and I started writing a patch during the last episode. And the idea was, well, I'll do the same thing in the app menu that we do for the menu bar here. If we're in permanent private browsing, we relabel so that it becomes... Well, let's look at it. So let's build this and enable permanent private browsing and take a look at what we had gotten. Oh, hold on a second. I don't want to do a full binary build. Let's do an artifact build. Let me pump up the font. Whoops. Why does macOS always do that? I think it's because the majority of the window ends up actually being on the different workspace, and so it moves it. It's kind of annoying. So let's go get our artifact stuff. Come on, artifact build. The one thing I wanted to look at once we sort of verify that this stuff is still kind of working is the jump list part, and that I have to do on my Windows machine. So what I'm going to do after we check this out is I'm going to commit it. I'm going to post the work in progress patch. I'm going to ask Paul for feedback. I don't want him to reply necessarily right now because I think it's after his workday. But maybe someone on himself or someone on his team, I don't know, can take a look and give me a sense of whether or not I'm on the right track. And then I want to try modifying the jump list stuff as well. And let's see if we can do that before the end of the episode. I am boiling in here. This room is so hot. I don't know. I think they've stopped running air into this room. I'm not hearing any of the... Normally there's like a blower. I can hear it. Well, right now I can't hear it. So I wonder if the thermostat has changed or... Because I am boiling in here. Also, what is going wrong? Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yeah, you were looking for... You know what it is? I'll bet you I have way too many artifacts just lying around. And it's like searching through my disk. That's my guess. I'm actually curious now. Let's take a look and see how many artifact zips, gzips, and DMGs are in my are in here. Oh, not that many. So come on, what was the holdup? All right. Anyway, I've got my artifact build. And now what I need to do is I need to turn on permanent private browsing. Let's do that next. It might also be the fact that I've got this VM running in the background. That tends to draw a lot of resources from my computer. Okay, so permanent private browsing. Let's do it. Privacy and security. History. Always use a private browsing. Let's restart. Okay, so the one change I made in my patch makes it so that we always get this little indicator in the corner when we're in permanent private browsing. Again, I'm not entirely sure that's what we want. Maybe there's some people who want to be in permanent private browsing, but they don't want the visual indicator. I don't know. But that's one thing. The other thing that I did was I made it so that every new window is actually labeled new private window. So just like we do in the menu here up here where it says new private window, we have new private window here, and that opens a new private window. just like this one, new private window. And I believe we already had this. When you right-click on this, you only get the new private window item. I gives you a new private window. So now what's left is the jump list. So that's the equivalent of this sort of context menu on the dock. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to commit this. Let's get our bug number here. Whoops. Bug such and such. Relabel all window open commands to refer to private windows when in perma PB mode. And I'm not going to set a reviewer right now because this is a work in progress patch. Smurfy asks, could it not be a toggle option, like always in private and don't show private window icon? I mean, yes, maybe, if it's worth it. I mean, every time we add an option like that, we need to consider, that's yet another configuration that we need to test and maintain. So we have to figure out whether or not that's worth it. If we find that it's, maybe there's a better option that's not to have it be a toggle, and that's always like worth investigating. If we can avoid adding yet another option, that is usually best. Pick one, pick the other. If you absolutely have to, then have an option be available. But as soon as you add an option, you add yet another column to the massive testing and configuration matrix that we have, that in order to ship a quality product, and that you want to make that smaller, not bigger. All right, so let us post this up for review. Well, not post it up for review. We're going to post it as a work in progress patch just so that I can access it from my Windows VM. It's based on a non-public commit. What's this based off of? I should have rebased this off of Central. Did I fail? Did I have this based on something else? Let me rebase it off of Central just to make it Scooby-Doo here. Let me rebase tip test Central. Paul says, I really like your patch. Oh, thank you, Paul. Oh, I really like you. So adding the PBM indicator seems like a much better UX. Currently, users have no indication that they're in permanent PBM. Yes, I agree. So, something to consider. Something to consider just having it. All right, let's post this up for review now. Submit single, work in progress. So let's see if we can get that jump list to behave the same way, where it's going to say, like if I show you what it says right now, if I open up Firefox here, it'll say open new window. I think we just wanted to say new private window, really, but to have it do the work of opening a new window or something. One of those things. What did we do before? We made it so that content browser.js permanent private. It was down here. What did we do? We got the node. We hide the private window one, and then we update the label of the new window command to be the new private window label. And so we're going to want to do something similar here, I think. I'm trying to remember why that is, I think it's so that we can maintain the same keyboard shortcuts and whatnot. We just want to relabel to make it clear that like, hey, this is opening a new private window. I also remember one of the interesting issues here is that new private window, like all of these context items here, these are not they're not normal because let me show you how they're dealt with or how we do things with them. When you create one of those rows inside of that little jump list, what you're really creating is something that looks like this. What you're creating is a task, a private window task, basically a thing that like get description, like what's a .args? Let me show you what it means. Like we construct a task. We basically construct an executable task. So let me show you what I mean. We get a reference to our local executable, and then we say, okay, call the same executable, but with these certain arguments. And that's how we have to do it, because we can't script, I guess. We can't really script what happens whenever you click on one of these things. The only thing we can do, really, is, I guess, have it call a command, which is strange. Like, I wonder what these do. Like, if I click on that... Oh, you know what it is? It's like those just pass in the URLs to the executable. Yeah, that's how that works. So that it seems to be a limitation of the way that the jump list support works, is that we can't just like run some JavaScript logic. We have to construct a command that's called against our executable. So that's going to add a little bit of a wrinkle, but I think we can manage because we're basically going to, I think, do something similar to what we've been doing before, which is to just relabel the other command. But let's test that just to be certain. So let's check out the patch. When was the last time I pulled? Ooh, about 20 days ago. So we're going to pull central, and then we're going to get our patch down. Come on, old machiney. I might be due for a hardware upgrade soon. This machine's... How old is this machine? 2019, I think? Yeah, might be due for a hardware upgrade. Get that M1 goodness. Alright. Let's go. Let's go. Get those files. Okay, well, while we're waiting for that, let's kind of plan. Let's plot and plan. So Windows jump lists, here it is. I think what we're going to want to do is sort of similar. I wonder if there's already logic in here to deal with permanent private browsing. No, there is not. So we can use some of the same logic that we added to customizable widgets. Because I don't know if you remember, but we permanent... It's down here, I think. Down right at the bottom. Where we said we disable if this private browsing utils permanent private browsing is true. And that's something I think we can access inside of Windows jump lists. So we could import private browsing utils, and then on construction of the jump lists, like on construction of these tasks, we'll go ahead and say like, okay, well, if we are the private window task, don't add this one. Like, don't add this one at all. Oh, that's interesting. This is already kind of separated. Why is this separated? What do? In the event that private browsing utils is enabled, we add that. Okay, that makes sense. So there is a little bit of like some dynamicism here, but not much. Okay. Then there's a refresh timer. Okay. Interesting. Have we done... What the... Oh, transaction abort. Why transaction abort? Have I run out of hard drive? How much hard drive do I have? I have hard drive. What's going wrong here? Forcibly closed by the remote host. Get out of here. Why would you do that to me? Don't do that to me. Me. Oh, Danny Colin's like M2? Yeah, good call. I probably want an M2. Akris asks if the slowness might be a hardware or a mercurial problem. That's a good question. Could be that's true. It could be a mercurial one. It could be that my mercurial repository is quite old, and I ended up I migrated from machine to machine. I've had it for probably close to 7 or 8 years. I wonder if it's almost time for me to do a full reclone and just because I'll bet you there's a whole bunch of baggage on my graph, my local graph, that's probably not helping with the speed. I could be wrong, but that's a hypothesis. It's the sort of thing that I feel like someone like the mercurial devs may or may not have great ways of testing. It's basically what I'm describing as entropy, the decay or the complications that pile up on a software system after the state has existed for many, many years. You can get a sense of, you can think of how user profiles, if you've had a Firefox user profile, and I'm not talking about performance profile, I'm just talking about your bookmarks and history. If you had it for many, 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 many years, entropy builds up. Add-ons come and go, leaving stuff behind. Maybe you had an old XPCOM add-on that just wrote wild stuff into your profile directory. Who knows? Old projects that wrote stuff and failed to clean it up. Leftovers from crashes and all sorts of things. And entropy can build up over time. And that is a thing that we have to grapple with. All right, so we have our clone here. So let's now pull down this patch. What was the ID again? I think I copied D152916. Entropy. Okay, let's get our patch. What are people saying about entropy? That's why we have Firefox Sync. That's right, and refreshing Firefox Refresh, although that's a little more destructive. But yeah, Firefox Sync is very helpful. Doesn't get you everything back, but in a way, maybe that's good because some of that other stuff might be entropy. And yes, that's a good point. Someone, SmurfD points out that Firefox Sync, if you're curious, this is a recent headline. I'm particularly happy about this because I used to contribute to Thunderbird. That was the first thing I did for Mozilla. Thunderbird is, at long last, getting support for Firefox Sync. And what that means is it's not going to sync all your email or anything, but what it will do is it will sync all of your settings. So that way you don't, if you move to a new machine and you're using Thunderbird and you have it connected to your sync account, then you don't necessarily have to reset up all your accounts on that new machine, all of your address book contacts and whatnot. It's going to go through Firefox Sync and it'll show up for you, which is really nice. And let me find Firefox Sync for Thunderbird. I think there was a blog post about it. Yeah, this G-Hacks. G-Hacks wrote about it. Old G-Hacks. But here, there's a Thunderbird subreddit. This is maybe who I would trust. There you go. So go ahead and follow that link and you can read up. And if you're willing to test a nightly build of Thunderbird, which I remember was always a challenge to get people to do because it's your email. You don't want it to destroy your email. It might even be in beta. Who knows? Oh, it's going to be in beta in a few months. That was 5 days ago. So, rises some privacy questions, says Kurgan IT. Well, I want you to know that Firefox Sync is secure, very secure. I cannot read your sync stuff. Even if I wanted to, and I don't. But if I ever wanted to read some Firefox account users' email, not email, their their bookmarks or their history. I couldn't do it. It's all encrypted client side, and I don't have the keys. The user has the keys. You, the user of the account, has the keys. So, like, if I were to somehow be like an evil, let's say I decide to go full evil, and I want to like, now I'm gonna go try and get all the Firefox account history and for all the users, and I'm gonna run some kind of bot to do in the background or something. I couldn't do it because what I'd get are just giant encrypted blobs out of our database. First of all, I'm certain our security people would catch me, but also it's all encrypted. And I can't read it. It'd just be useless blobs of encrypted data. And Mozilla can't decrypt it. Even if we were to get like let's say we desperately needed to get at someone's history. It's not like we've got a back door built in that's like, oh, okay, let's open it. We don't have the ability to read any of that data. It's lost. If you've lost your keys to your account, it's gone. We cannot get it back. We do not have the ability until we get quantum computers that allows us to do very large number factoring or something, whatever quantum cryptography, something hand wave, then it's not happening. All right, so where was I? Yes, I want to import this stuff. It's applied. Let's build it. I'm sorry, I keep getting so distracted. I'm in a distractible mood today. Oh, thank you, Danny Colin, for linking to this Firefox Sync privacy blog post. This is very interesting and probably worth reading if you're curious about how it all works and why you should use it, and like why it's safe and like the whole flow here. Typical login flow. Hey, this is not the login flow for sync. This is the this is how syncing works. It's like, hey, you put in your password for your account. We do all of this stuff. We create an authentication token. We send the authentication token. We determine whether or not that authentication token is like accurate. If so, then we send you the encrypted data that we have. Once you have it, then presumably you also have the decryption key. You decrypt the encrypted data, and then you have the data. We do not have the data because whenever you send the data, it's all encrypted on your side. Like there's another step here. This is the like receiving step. There's the sending step where like this is kind of reversed, and like the encryption key is used to encrypt the data, and then that's sent to us. So just so you know. Yeah, that was a mess, eh? Let's what just happened there? Relay long open commands. I'm on central rebase rtip central. Scoop-a-doo. Yeah, I had plenty of hard drive left. I don't know. I guess the hard drive had nothing to do with it. I think it was Smurf D was saying how like whenever you have a VM, sometimes Mercurial's the server will say like, "Hey, I'm gonna cut you off." I am sweating in here. It is so hot. I cannot think straight. All right, merging. Yeah, rebase also definitely taking a lot of time. Whoo. Come on now. what are you doing? All right. If that doesn't work, maybe back at your change and try with tip if it's also borked. Yeah. Good call. Yes, rewriting history. It's expensive. All right, well, while we're waiting on that, let's put our plan together here. So we've got... why isn't this... I guess I never really use this Sublime Text, but like the syntax highlighting's all wrong here. What? How do I get... Tools, project, tools... Macro, fine, view, syntax. This is JavaScript. Okay. So, what I'm thinking of doing, it's one of two things. We're either going to run just the normal open window command, that's this one here. We're just going to relabel it to be the private browsing one, and we're going to change its icon. Or, because that presumes that the dash browser will do the right thing when you're in permanent private browsing mode, or we'll reuse this one because we have to keep this args. We'll just get rid of this one. That is, I think, those are our two choices. Because, like, if we start mutating this one to be basically this, then, like, what's the point? You might as well just, like, not use this one, and just use this one instead. Okay. Did we do it? Let's build. While we're waiting for that, is anyone? Let's see. I don't think there were any other questions that were sent into the Rate This Episode forums. So, does anyone have any questions about Firefox I can try and answer? Maybe while I'm waiting for any of this, I'm going to check my email and see if Nika has gotten back about that other ticket. I'm going to do it on my phone though, so I don't want you to read my email. Let's see here. Nope, no response yet. Someone asked about how was my vacation. My vacation was great. You know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. While we're waiting for this, let me just go. Here's talking head mode. Hey, I really enjoyed my vacation. I was outside a lot. I got to hang around with my family. I've got nephews and nieces. I got to hang around with them. Siblings and you know, a bunch of extended family too. And it was really great because we haven't seen each other in a while. And we were outside on the beach and, you know, reading books and throwing a ball around. Oh, it was great. And we had mostly good weather. It was very hot, very sunny. I mean, hot for Ontario, at least, or for me in Toronto. But yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it. If you haven't had a vacation in a while, I recommend it. If you manage... What is this all about? Huh. What? Sorry, let me share my screen. I've got this message now whenever I try and build. It's like, hey, you can't do that. What's going wrong? Mock Bootstrap? have I reached the point where I can no longer use Node on this on Windows 7? Let's double check. It's Bootstrap. I mean, it's not like I really need Node in order to run things. Like, Node isn't used as part of any of the artifact packaging steps, so this might just be our configure script being overzealous and saying like, hey, I noticed that your Node doesn't run on this platform. Okra says I'll also need Rust. Except that I'm doing an artifact build. I don't need either of those things. An artifact build just requires me to basically run Python, download some stuff, and then zip some stuff up. And then please upgrade Python. No. Not for now. I'm not doing that. I can't run Python 3 on here for now. Or at the very least, I can't run the newer Mozilla build that has Python 3. There we go. Okay, so maybe we're done now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to launch a new terminal and see if it'll accept this now. Mozilla Unified. Mock build faster. Let's try this. Okris is having a great time. Look at all those lulls. Okris is lulling like nobody's business. Come on, Bootstrap. Let's say that. Let's hope you did the job. Nope, it hates it. Node skip platform check? Sure, let's skip the platform check. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Here we go. So I'm skipping that platform check. Hopefully that's going to be okay. I'm glad they gave me an escape hatch, at least. But I realize that I'm kind of in unsupported territory now. So things might fall over. Okay, after this is done, let's get our build up and running, and then try a couple of minutes of trying to solve this thing. And then I'm going to call it. I am sweating buckets. It is so hot in here. I need to talk to someone about these rooms and how hot they are. Oh, man. Okay, so this seems to be... This seems to be working. Yes, the joy of supporting legacy OSs. Yeah, this is the world we live in, right? Like, the tools move on. We have to support the new OSs, but we also have to support the old OSs. And thankfully, Windows and Microsoft generally is really good about backwards compatibility. That's kind of their bread and butter, right? Is backwards compatibility for the most part, or forwards compatibility? No, backwards. Is it backwards compatibility? Yeah, backwards compatibility. They're generally pretty good about, keeping the APIs, like keeping older APIs around on the newer systems so that you can write to those APIs and still get what you want, and then that software will run on the older versions of the operating system. And so we don't have to do a whole lot of special casing for Windows 11. Please update breakfast. Yeah. Holy smokes, let's do that. How long have we been waiting for this build? I probably should have prepared this in advance. God, come on, let's go. So impatient. SDS, please. Yeah, no plan survives. Please update breakfast. I think we're almost there, though. I think we're about to get our build. Build struggle. Yeah. You don't mind the build struggle? I appreciate that. Okay, that looks like Firefox. Good. So let's try to go into permanent private browsing mode. Custom settings. Always use private browsing. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so now we have our permanent private browsing mode, and we've got our icon here. That's great. We've got our new private window thing. So what happens if I right-click on this and say new window? What do I get? Oh. Right. Okay, I forgot. Here's something I'm going to need to do. Let me create a new profile called PB mode. And run PB mode. Actually, you know what else I should do is I should make it so that we always run that profile by default. That's the other thing I need to do. So PB mode, use without asking. Right, this one's still shutting down. Come on. Okay. Oh, what is going wrong? Okay, so PB mode, we're going to open that up. I've got permanent private browsing mode enabled. What happens? Do I have permanent private browsing mode enabled? No, because I've got a new profile here. Okay, so let's go to privacy and security, custom settings, always use private browsing, restart again, and now, not now, let's see what happens if I say new private browsing window. So that does open a private browsing window. And I've got my two windows here. This one sent us to about private browsing though. What happens if I ask it to open a new window, just a normal window? So this is a non-private window. That's interesting. That's interesting. So via this route, I can actually open a non-private window when in permanent private browsing mode. That's let's see. So that's going to be handled inside of. Oh. Yeah, it's going to be handled, I think, in a thing called browser content handler. Sorry, I gotta relearn Windows keyboard shortcuts. Dash private window. Open the URL in a new private window. Open a new browser window. Hand URI. Unless using a private window is forced, open external links in private windows only if we're in perma private browsing mode. Hand URI to existing browser. It's not quite it. I think what we need to do is we need to handle. Where's the browser one? Handle flag, open browser window. And open browser window is here. If this is an initial attempt to open Navigator link, browser glue during early startup. I wonder if in here we need to check whether or not we're in permanent private browsing mode. Because where do we open the private one? Private window param, private window, if forced private. That's if we're handling browser window. If we were handed a Chrome flag, that's not something that we would expect. Okay, so here, if we handle private window, maybe that's what we need to do. If private window param, if it's not enabled, we'll load. Right. Otherwise, resolve URI internal to the private window. So maybe we need to pass in private window. So that's what the private window task does, actually, is it passes in private window. And we say hand URI to existing browser. That's if we have a resolved URI. What's the resolved URI? What is this? Resolved URI. We're going to resolve the URI from the command line. Resolve URI from the command line. I have a feeling this will... What we might want to do actually is set a breakpoint and examine this. Let's go to browser content handler, and in wherever it said private window, which was, oh, where are we here? That's interesting. Where was that? Private window. In the event that we fail out here, then we will attempt to open at about private browsing. I wonder if that's what's happening because we're throwing an exception here. That's my guess, is that we're throwing an exception in here. So let's right click on this and say open new private window. Didn't even hit our breakpoint. What is going wrong? What is going on here? Am I in two different profiles? Am I in two different instances of Firefox? What is going on? It's about support. This is PB mode. New private window. Yeah, that's the wrong profile, sir. This is the wrong profile. Ah! Oh, I'm dying. I'm dying. All right. Well, I think I'm going to pause it here, but let me write down where we got to, because this is frustrating. Relabel the new window button. Yeah, we did that. So what we want to do is update Windows jump list. Our browser content handler to pass to handle when we're in permanent private browsing in order to not send the user to about private browsing, and then update, and that's not checked, so we'll uncheck that, and then update Windows jump lists to pass the right arguments to Firefox when in permanent private browsing. guess, do I need the dash? I think it doesn't add anything. Space. Okay, and then the one thing I want to do here is like make it possible to test passing the, manually test the Windows jump lists stuff. Make it possible to manually test the Windows jump list stuff. Because right now it looks like it's trying to open the default profile on usage. Okay. And then what do I want to do after that? I think that's it. So I'm going to stop there. Yeah, I did have this issue last time. I think we basically just chased our tails. So maybe next time we'll actually make some progress here. But hey, I'm back from vacation and you got to see me struggle, and that's what this is all about. And it's so hot in here. It's hotter in here than I was during my entire vacation. I need to crack a window. So anyways, I'm gonna pause it here. Next time, maybe we'll get a little bit further on this bug, and maybe we can even post it up for review. But for now, I'm gonna call it. Thank you so much for watching episode 295 of The Joy of Coding. I hope that was interesting. And yeah, let me know what you thought. There's a link in the agenda for how you can rate the episode and supply feedback. Go ahead and send me stuff that way. I'll happily read everything that comes in and try and respond during the next episode. I should be back next Wednesday, so I will see you then. Take care, everybody. Have yourselves a great week. I will see you soon. Bye-bye. I think that was actually really much quieter than it should have been. Let me try that again.
The joy of coding.
See ya.